I'm the worst YouTuber ever. I know. I apologize. I really don't have any good excuse other than that I'm very shy and it's very, very hard for me to watch myself on camera and edit these. So hopefully if I just keep doing them more, I will get better and then the editing will be easier. So I thought what I would do today is do an updated brow routine of just the little tweaks that I've made in my routine over the last year since I filmed the first one. So I'm going to try to not repeat a lot of stuff that was in the first one. So if you haven't seen the first one, watch the first one. And then this will add just a couple additional little pointers and a new tool that wasn't in the last one. So most importantly, before we start, I would like to thank everybody who has subscribed and watched the first one. It's almost to 10,000 views right now, which I can't even believe it's even been watched once. So, and I think, it's like 225, something like that, subscribers. And so I really appreciate everybody, and I appreciate all your comments, and I love reading them, and just thank you so much. Like, it's crazy to me that anybody like stays longer than like a minute in the first one. So I really appreciate it a lot, and hopefully this one will be a helpful addition to the first one, which was so long ago. So I just wanted to say thank you more times than I can say. So if you want to see the updated brows and you don't mind seeing me without makeup at all in a second, then keep on watching. Love you guys. Thank you. Oh my gosh, my hair. Growing out a mohawk is awkward. I'm not going to reiterate too much on the stuff from the first video, so make sure to watch that first if you haven't seen that. I'm just going to add in new stuff. We have a new product or a new tool, and I'm going to add in just the new information and speed the video through the actual application. So I prefer to do my eyebrows prior to anything else because I don't want it to pick up the color from the foundation too much. And I just find that you have a lot cleaner finished product when you do it first. And even if I'm using a slightly different, slightly darker foundation color, I don't find that it makes a lot of difference without having it underneath first. So that's what I prefer. So let's get to it. So we still have our ash brown and ebony dip brow, as always. And we still have our Anastasia brush number 12. No. And we have added a new brush. And our new brush is the Sigma E06 winged liner brush. I will try to show them to you next to each other so you can see that the Sigma one, which is here, the Sigma one is smaller and thinner. It does have a slightly longer brush hair. So if you do have any type of actual brow hairs, lucky you, this might be a little too like soft for you in there. But if you're working with no eyebrow hair, like I'm sure most of you are here for, it's going to work great. It makes really skinny, nice, precise hair strokes, even more precise than the Anastasia one, but I still really like the Anastasia one to do first as the base, because the base color, we're just focusing more on the shape itself. And then the darker color, which is what I use the Sigma brush for, the second color is where we're really adding texture and building up that definition and 3D-ness. So that's why I like the skinnier one for that one, but still love the Anastasia one for the lighter base color. Let's get really intimate. Okay, so I'm going to be looking down at a little mirror here and still keep you guys in focus. The other thing I always do is I do them kind of both together, going back and forth, so you can check the symmetry and such as you're going. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so here, oh God, please excuse my perpetually red nose from horrible allergies. So here I would stop with the ash brown, and I would grab one of my trusty pointy Q-tips, and I would clean up just the tails right here where they got a little bit like wide and maybe too long with the base color. Making sure that they're symmetrical. But the tails don't really have to be perfect at this point, because the ebony color, the darker color that you use, I really make the tails very like dark, and they don't have a lot of hair strokes. They're more filled in right at the tail. So it doesn't really matter that the tails aren't perfect right now, because you're going to go over that pretty heavily. So what you're really looking for at this point is for them to be symmetrical. And so I just check right in here in the middle, and that they're the same width and the same shape, because that's all we're really going for right now with the ash brown, is just to establish the shape that you want. It doesn't have to have a ton of texture or a ton of perfection at this point. So now I'm gonna get our wee Sigma brush, and I'm gonna get the ebony, and still same technique on the side of my palm, and still laying it out flat on its sides to get it nice and pointy at the tip. And with the darker color, you're going to be establishing the texture and getting really fine hair strokes. For the first step with the ebony, I am going to be really focusing on trying to get the brush strokes, the hair strokes, very fine and in the direction that I want. And then there's a little added step at the end that I've added in that I really like. So I'm going to do the tiny thin hair strokes with the ebony first. Get nice and close. It's a little disturbing to see my skin this closely. Okay, so now at this point, the next added step that I've added in is I kind of go in and do like a heavier, thicker hair stroke so that you're getting a little bit denser of a line, but I feel like that adds a good amount of regularity so that your eye isn't calling bullshit on the perfection. Like it kind of makes them look more believable and real. So I kind of make sure that that line on either one isn't in the exact same place as the other, like maybe just slightly different, so that they're very, very similar, but not exactly perfect. So kind of focusing on giving it just a little bit of imperfection so that it makes it look more real. So I'm going to do those thicker hair strokes now and just kind of making sure, you know, maybe putting one in like a straighter place, like how these all go up and then they start laying down to the sides. So I might add a little straighter one in a different spot or a little thicker one here or there. And again, making the tails darker and more solid and putting these just like maybe two. I think I put in like little darker ones here and there. And never putting the super dark ones super close to the front right at the beginning, always starting maybe about a third of the way back with the super dark ones, and then 2/3 of the way back with the tail darkness. And now I'm just going to be kind of going back and forth and cleaning up any lines, like thin or thick, whatever looks like a good one to put in there. And sometimes I'll go back with the Anastasia brush that just has a little bit of the ash brown left on it. And if you want to clean up below here, if that looks too piecey for you and you want like a more cleaned up line, you can get this on its side and just kind of clean up. Not making any sort of dark line, but just brushing up that area. clean that up a little bit. So you're just softening under there. As you can see, it's a little more like piecey underneath here on this one. So I'll clean up under here on this one. Just kind of makes it a little more defined there at the bottom. Okay, so that was with the ash brown, and now I'm going to go back to the ebony on my little baby skinny Sigma brush, and I'm just going to check to make sure there is not like any little holes. So you want it a little undone, a little imperfect. And I'm just gonna clean up the top of the arch on this one. I don't know if you can see that, but this one always is arched too much in my tattoo, so kind of have to follow it differently on this side. And you can clean up anything you need to. It's usually pretty easy with the pointy Q-tip if you just go in the direction of the hair stroke that you made. So let's check. Okay, so I'm gonna stop and take my own advice. Stop before I think it's done. And at this point, I still powder it a little. And I'm using RCMA No Color Powder. And still the same Laura Mercier puff. And just powder them very lightly, and then you still shouldn't have a problem with the powder with going around it with your foundation. I just try to powder it mostly just over top in that area. And I will find that through doing my foundation, sometimes the tails get a little bit fuzzy over here, a little bit wiped away. So at the very end of my makeup, if I'm being really perfectionist, I'll go with just a little bit of the ebony on the Sigma brush and just clean up the tail a little bit. This is our finished eyebrows. So thank you for watching, and tweet, comment, snap me, whatever you want to do, any questions or comments that you have. And don't forget to subscribe and follow me on Instagram if you want. And thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope it was a helpful addition to the last one. Thank you so much. Bye.